Hello, this is the Iconbuster.
Today I want to talk about the Smackdown vs. Raw video game series. Now, if you have been to my page, you can probably tell I'm a huge fan of professional wrestling, and I've been a fan since 1985. Like a lot of wrestling fans back then, I was a Hulkamaniac. Then we moved to the Attitude Era and the Monday Night Wars, a war so popular that the stations that produced Monday Night Football got pissed off and started putting up shows like The Truth Behind Professional Wrestling. But nobody cared, because we already knew it was all entertainment. Now we are to the modern era of wrestling, which if you stuck with it through the slow period in between the Attitude Era and now, you've been rewarded with a very interesting setup in the WWE and a brand new organization called TNA, which at this point is just as good as WCW was in its heyday. So yes, I love professional wrestling, but I'm also a big fan of strong female characters. And unlike some things that are good being mixed together, this doesn't suck. When you have the right female talent in a match, they can put on just as good a show or even better than some of the guys. Hell, I think they're better than some of the guys anyways. Now you wonder, what does this have to do with the Smackdown vs. Raw franchise? Everything. Now, I'm not going into the decline of the wrestling games themselves, or I'm not going to talk about the games being bad or good, and there are other wrestling games that are guilty of the same accusations too. I'm talking to you, Dave Reckoning, in WrestleMania 21, but let's just focus on the Smackdown vs. Raw series. Now what I want to discuss is the idea of freedom. Now my first complaint is this. Why have all these matches like Hell in a Cell, Elimination Chamber, Last Man Standing, and so forth, if only to realize a portion of your roster can actually be in them? Basically, if you want to play them with a female character, you're shit out of luck. Now I know what you're thinking. Well, women aren't in those kind of matches. Well, maybe not in the WWE, but in other organizations, they have. Well, what about the hardcore match? I once saw Melina and Mickie James in a Falls Count Anywhere match. I also saw one hardcore match where Lita busted Trish Stratus wide open. And recently, Melina had an I Quit match with Beth Phoenix. So what I understand is this. It's okay for Vince McMahon to put real women's lives in danger, but it's not okay for me to put animated characters in that same predicament. So is there any match that the women get that the guys don't have? Well, they have the fantasy match. But before you go making some hot chick that be stripped down, let me warn you, it's for the divas that are already in the game. Another thing that bothers me is that apparently the creators of this franchise have a problem with women being in a match with more than 4 people. I mean, I see women in 6-person tags all the time. I also see 8 to 10 diva women battle royals, but according to these games, that's illegal. Also, in these games, they never have a female story mode. So it's almost pointless to make a female create a character. Well, I know what you're thinking. Well, none of the wrestling games ever had a female story mode. But in the earlier Smackdown games, there was a way around it. It was called the other option. In the early games, you used to pick the sex of your character. Then you could pick a body frame, which was the choice of a male or female body. And from there, you could create anything. But since Smackdown vs. Raw series came about, it became more realistic. And because of it, and because of that, they limited the type of characters you could have on this game. You see, the first Smackdown vs. Raw didn't take away a lot of the women's freedoms, but in the story mode, every diva in it was treated like a whore. And since then, women have been treated poorly in these games. Now you ask, who wants to play a woman character anyways? Well, if you're asking that, you missed my point. And my point is, for those who want to, they should be able to. I mean, seriously, I understand the game being built mostly around male characters, but why is it when I do want to play a woman's match, I'm so limited on what I can choose? This is the Iconbuster saying, Smackdown vs. Raw, you've been busted.